This is one chapter of a full hour and 42-minute DVD production that we offer on 10 short lines. This historic one is in East Texas. We visited them back in 1998 when we were invited to record their successes and their sense of community.
This is the old Southern Pacific main line that runs through Lufkin, Texas. It's now part of the giant Union Pacific system since the merger. This junction keeps the UP busy since it connects with an important short line that expands its business with new customers all the time. Being tied to a single customer like the Amador Central would make any railroad operator nervous, and the ANNR would never let that happen. It's also true that the modern ANNR owes a great deal to the wood products industry. It was founded in the late 1880s for transporting logs and to serve the Angelina County Lumber Company near Lufkin, Texas. The ANNR shortly became larger and was elevated in 1900 to common carrier status with mixed freight, passenger, and even mail business. Operation was converted from narrow to standard gauge by 1906. The logging business was always a large part of revenue until the 1930s, when the dwindling and closing of that business was a threat to the ANNR's survival. In fact, during the Great Depression, the situation looked pretty bleak, like it did for so many other short-line operations. That is, until Dr. Charles Hurdy, a chemist from Georgia, performed experimental work to use an otherwise unused resource. Dr. Hurdy, an East Texas timberman and a newspaper publisher, developed a way to use the area's abundant southern pines for paper production. Normally, these pines were considered to be too full of gummy resin to be much good for newsprint paper production used on printing presses. The new Southland paper mill was operational by 1940, and the improved fiber processing not only helped supply local needs for paper, but it helped create many jobs and out-of-area customers for the product. Since that time, the southeastern U.S. has replicated this success story, and the region now supplies 15% of the world's newsprint paper supply. The Angelina and Natchez River Railroad, based in Lufkin, Texas, is another old short line, but this one is healthy, thriving, and developing new customers all the time. The ANNR tracks wrap around like a horseshoe on the old Southern Pacific main line, which is now owned by the Union Pacific. The two railroads exchange cars at Lufkin, Texas, which is milepost 118 on the Houston division in the old SP timetables. Until 1963, they had an additional 24 miles, which were lost to the Sam Rayburn Dam, built on the Angelina River. Locomotives are the first thing a customer sees, and they're like a railroad's business ambassador. The ANNR's offices are near the second SP crossing in Prosser, 5.3 track miles north. Let's visit the facility. The newest locomotive on the line is the EMD GP38, built in 1980 for the ANNR. It's numbered 2000, reflecting its horsepower rating.
This is a 16-cylinder. It's a 645. Has a diamond head on it. This is just, well, that is exactly half of it. Is that much more again past that door? It has roots blowers on it. It's not turbocharged. This is just the block. The heads are inside this. This is what you call a rocker cover right here. And this is the air box. It comes out of the roots blowers down there on that end. The air comes through here, goes in the ports in the side of each cylinder. There's Each one of these is lined up with a cylinder, the piston that goes up and down in this. The head sets on top of this down in there, and that's where your exhaust valves is. The fresh air comes in here, goes into the cylinder, it compresses it, it squirts fuel in from the top through the injector, it ignites, and then it blows the exhaust out the top, out the valves. It has 4 valves per cylinder, and they're all exhaust valves.
The Jeep 38 is today's choice for many short lines. The 2,000 horsepower developed by the machine comes from its 16-cylinder EMD 645 series diesel.
You could take the cylinder out of this and stick it in that block, that 12-cylinder in that 1500. They're exactly the same.
The second unit, an EMD SW1500, is a 1500 horsepower switcher that can nose its way into tight sidings and afford somewhat better visibility for the engineer.
Okay, this here is a SW1500. It's a 72 model, 1972. It's a 12-cylinder, 645. It has 645 cubic inches per cylinder. Produces about 1,500 horsepower, and it's a pretty stout little old engine. Holds about 1,300 gallons of fuel. Holds about 135 gallons of oil. Probably this engine, this one is quicker than the GP38-2. It moves a little bit quicker. You know, switching in the yard and switching in these plants, it's just a little bit quicker. Takes off a little quicker. Probably stops a little quicker.
When the ANNR dieselized in 1949, they chose Alco, and in 1958 they purchased another Alco, number 12, which is still used on the system. This Model S4 switcher is one of nearly 800 built by Alco. Although Alco stopped building diesels in the late 60s, their legacy lives on. This 40-year-old Alco looks as clean as the day it was delivered. Mark Reeves will give us a quick tour of this historic machine.
This is a 1958 model Alco switcher, 1,000 horsepower, has a 539T diesel motor in it, diesel engine in it, and the company bought it brand new in 1958. It has a Woodward governor on it, and these things right here, this is injection pumps on it. It has individual heads on it. Each cylinder has its own individual head. This motor, and this motor is a 4-stroke. This engine here is a 4-stroke. All the EMDs are 2 strokes. And in other words, this engine has intake valves and exhaust valves. Our EMDs have, you know, they have exhaust. All the valves are exhaust, and it has intake ports. And on a real hard day, this engine will use about around 160 or 170 gallons of fuel switching, you know, just switching uptown. And we overhauled this engine about probably 6 years ago. We done a major overhaul. We put main bearings in it, rod bearings, put new pistons in it, got all the heads redone on it, and put it back together. And just right here recently, probably 2 months ago, we had a head crack on it. We had to replace one head on it. But other than heads going bad, this engine is pretty maintenance free.
Well, I think the controls on this Alco here, this 58 model Alco, is really one of the simpler controls. It'd be good for a student engineer to learn on. Really, This is your independent brake here, and it's real simple to operate. This is your train line brake. It works just like the rest of them, and the throttle here, it's easier to operate for most people because it's got a long arm on here, where the rest of them just had a little stick down here, so to speak, to operate with. The power on Alco, we used to have two of these Alcos here. When I first came here, this is the only power we had was two Alcos, and you could MU the two Alcos together, and you had, I think you could outpull any engine we have now with those two together. And I have seen these two here pull more than I think the EMD 1500 would, on account of the ability to not slip on rails. Yeah, they were workhorses. The two Alcos MU together. I've seen us pull 50, 60 cars of newsprint out of the paper mill before with them.
This is another railroad that chooses to retain a caboose in its operations. As mentioned before, they're still quite useful for crews making many pickup and setouts requiring backup moves. The single caboose is a XSP bay window model. The crew also appreciates having a caboose. It's far better than hanging off the end of a car in reverse moves, plus it provides a convenient place for paperwork. A summer workday can include hot sun and sudden downpours, and having a caboose for the crew at the rear makes things run a lot smoother. With a man on the rear platform and a radio, the ANNR can flag their way through grade crossings for extra safety. Texas has more grade crossings than any other state, and many have only a sawbuck to protect them. The ANNR has 150 cars in their paint scheme, and they're all kept clean and in 100% ready condition to serve customers. They wind up everywhere in North America.
ANR has 50 60-foot cars, and we have 100 of these 50-foot cars, and these 300 series cars are all our 50-foot cars, and they're strictly used for paper service. They're assigned to the Champion Paper Mill here in Lufkin.
The ANNR can track these cars and pinpoint their progress with their computers. This helps them keep the availability high, and it also helps their customers know how their shipments are doing across country.
They have a way of tracking them, by computer. They have a tracking system, and if you'll notice down on the far end of the car down there, there's a little gray tag on the side of the car, and all cars now have those tags on them. It's called an AEI tag, and that's part of the tracking system, how you can keep up with that car and tell where that car is anywhere in the United States at any given day.
The president and general manager since 1994 is David Perkins, the 7th since the 1900 charter.
We're in the railroad business moving freight around from point to point, but in reality, as a short line, what we do best is service, and I often tell our people we're really in the service business. To our shippers, they may be shipping a load of newsprint to Chicago, and we only carry that carload from point A to point B where it connects with the main line. But as far as they're concerned, we are the railroad, and if something happens between here and St. Louis or Chicago, it's us that they call. So one of the things I guess as a short line railroad that we really strive is our customer service. That's really all we have to sell, and that's what we do best. Yeah, it's funny when you live in a small community, the people that you work with and are our customers, they're the same people that you're going to see at the ballpark or in the grocery store.
Everyone here is close to the customer. We talked to many employees, and the thoughts expressed by their president, David Perkins, were the same thoughts we heard in the shops, out on the main line, and in the offices. Here's one such thought.
By being a small railroad, you're tied in a whole lot close to your community. We may sit down tonight at a restaurant and eat dinner right beside a man today we was out at his business.
It's difficult for the big roads to have everyone reading from the same page due to their size. This is a short line's advantage, and it turns out to be good for the customers and the big railroads who can concentrate on what they do best, which is running very large trains over long distances.
An extensive DVD video featuring the short lines of the Modesto and Empire Traction, Amador Central, Central California Traction, Yolo Short Line, the Trona, Southwest Portland Cement, Stockton Terminal and Eastern, CORP, and the Ventura County Railway. Don't miss out on these remarkable short lines that in many cases have disappeared from the scene.